welcome to my channel. Well, recently when I got that Victorinox Explorer, I also picked up the Victorinox Sharpener, and this one's made in Germany. It has that very nice beveled surface area and then a center groove for sharpening hooks and stuff like that. But it also has this extra little piece right here. Let me get it. It's a ceramic fixed guide sharpener. Now normally I would use something like a Smith's. This is what I would carry. It's kind of heavy. It's heavier than this because it's made out of aluminum and stuff, but it has, you know, that same groove sharpener. More of a rounded edge here, you know, for getting into serrations and stuff, and then a flat side, and then you also have a point here also again for serrations, stuff like that. This is normally what I would use for touching up an edge in a field. You could also carry one of these. You've got the, you know, the flat surface you can use just like a stone. You can also carry, you know, this one was only like $2.50. Rough Rider called it Old Grandpa's Stone. It's a pocket stone. You'll also get them sometimes supplied in knife sheaths. But this is good. It gives you a nice surface area. There are 4 sides, so you know you don't have to orient one particular way. You know it's going to come out the same way. I haven't really used this area that much, but you could use that for like smoothing something down. Of course, you've got the edge right here that you can use for a recurve or anything like that. But, all right, the only, I like that. There's a little hole here probably to keep you from getting, you know, fighting pressure to put it in because it builds up air pressure. This doesn't clip like you would. I don't know, it's probably they can't make it that way because this has got to fit this and all that other stuff, but it'd be nice. It's just a minor criticism. It fits very flat in the pocket. It's easy to carry. I like it. Well, like I said, the main thing I like is this guided portion because depending on how well you do with edge holding, we'll grab the prototype Danny's clip here. I'm going to get in trouble. Danny, but anyway. No matter how well you think you're guiding and stuff, if you're not maintaining a consistent edge over here on your bevel when you're sharpening, you may get some uneven portions. Also, I found this useful. I just line it up in the center and pull it through there. If you've got just little nicks, if you look at the blade and you see just a little roll, not a nick, but like a little roll or something like that, you pull it through this thing. You don't have to push hard or anything. You just, you know, line your blade up in the center like that and just pull through. Now I have found on one knife that I had sharpened on I think it was the Work Sharp. Whenever I would pull it through here, I would get the edge to roll on one side and then the other. So I think the angle that's fixed here, it depends on what that angle is. You know, if that angle is different than what you've got on there, you're going to have it roll until it basically straightens up to this angle. You know. But I find this thing very useful. And I was thinking about it too. As long as you have got a pocket steel or something like that with you, it doesn't matter what kind of steel you've got. You don't need a super steel. You don't, you can go with these lighter steels, and as long as you can sharpen, as long as you know how to sharpen, you don't need a super steel. Unless it's some type of job you're working at where you have to constantly cut. You're constantly cutting something. Constantly. and you don't have time to touch up your edge, which, you know, to touch up the edge, you wouldn't even need the gritty part. Just use a ceramic. Pull it through there. Boom, you're sharp again. So, yes, I like steel advancements. I think that's cool and everything. Is it what makes a knife? Is the super steel what makes a knife valuable? It's valuable if you don't know how to sharpen, you know. If you can't sharpen a knife, then yeah, super steel is great. It's going to hold an edge a long time until you can send it off to get it sharpened again. Now, if it sounds like I'm belittling people that don't know how to sharpen, well, if you need a little belittlement to get you to learn something that's not that hard, then yeah, okay, I belittled you, you know. But I'm doing this to try to help out people that can't sharpen or don't know how to sharpen. Invest the time to learn how to sharpen, and it doesn't matter what the steel the knife has. If you look at the old timers who used knives and stuff, were these steels super, were they extra thick in the spine and everything? Unless it was like a rope knife and or something like that. Sorry, it's a trick knife. It's trying to trick me. I don't remember. Do I remember the trick? Yeah, there we go. The blade stock is usually pretty thin. This is not a super good example of them, but the blade stock is usually pretty thin. And now, the one thing I will say on a lot of the knives from the old days is they didn't know how to sharpen either. On a lot of knives I see, man, it was taken to a bench grinder. You can tell. Just way too much metal was taken off. You know, like a knife, this one's in good shape. A knife like this would be like up here. You know, because somebody's like, oh, I need it sharp. Because they're used to sharpening lawnmower blades or something like that, or axes, where it's not that important. But a knife, you don't want to take off that much metal. A grinder, it takes some skill to be able to use a bench grinder properly. Well, there you go. That's all I'm saying is invest in a little sharpening tool. Invest in a little bit of time, you know. Watch videos if you have to, but the main thing is hands-on. And experiment on inexpensive. Not this. It's too expensive. This is a $300 knife here. Experiment on something inexpensive, like an Imperial or a Rough Rider. And then once you get your skills down, you'll realize you won't be held to, oh, it's got to be a super steel. Why? Because you don't know how to sharpen. If you think about it, what is the reason why you want a super steel? It's because you don't know how to sharpen. Now, I like a super steel too. For me, 440C was a super steel when it came out. ATS 34. I mean, anything that was stainless and held an edge, and actually was stainless, back in the day, people really didn't get carried away with what kind of steel. It's a modern thing, you know, in the modern times, just like blade thickness. A lot of times people are thinking like, wow, I want this thing, you know, to be able to two-by-four itself away through a telephone pole, you know, baton it. To stick it on the back of the blade, you know, yeah, it's a pocket knife, but I want it to be able to beat through a tree. Why? You know, and manufacturers, they went with, let's give the customer what they want, even if the customer's stupid, you know? And so they overbuilt a lot of things, and then it was like, oh, that's not a bushcraft knife, because, you know, I stuck it in there, and I beat on the handle, and it snapped at the tang. Duh! Why were you doing that? You know? Why were you doing that? It's supposed to be a survival knife. It's your only knife. And here you are. Well, it was wet and I needed to get to dry wood and everything. Man, find other techniques than having to chop down a telephone pole to get to the center of it, you know, and having a super thick knife. That's just my opinion. If you want to do that, that's fine. Just like Bowie knives. Bowie knives a lot of times are way overbuilt and over-engineered, but it's just fun to hold them and feel in the hand, and you're kind of like linked. It's also nostalgia. You're linked in the past with some people. Not everybody carry that. You're more linked in the past with people if you use a Ontario or a Green River type of knife or something like that. That's really what people use a lot of times. But anyways, I digress. The main thing is, if you know how to sharpen your steel, I gotta get rid of this plastic. It's getting everywhere. If you know how to sharpen your steel, and then super steels are not the be all end all. You know, that's about all I can say about that. I really like this sharpener too. I've been using it and carrying it, and it's pretty cool. This one was all right, but like it's heavy. It's functional. A lot of times it's, I'm going. This thing here costs like $8. It was $8 at Walmart. I think they've gone up to about $10. A Smith sharpener. I've used these for years. One of these types of sharpeners for years and years. Same with this. The diamond stone one. I've got one that says patent pending. It looks just like it. This is a newer one. But like I said, just learn how to deal with rolls, nicks and stuff in your steel, and how to get an edge back to it. It doesn't necessarily, unless you're an outdoor barber, it doesn't have to always be razor sharp. Just get an edge on it, sharp enough that it's no longer a dull knife. There's different levels of sharpness, You can have things that are super, super sharp. Well, if the first time they run into anything tough, and as tough, I mean, just like wood. That razor blade edge ain't going to be there anymore. It may have a working edge. It may have a roll on it. Now you're out in the field, and you don't have an edge, then you need something to sharpen it with. Stone, anything. But, yeah, just check into those different little pocket tools. Practice. None of us were born in the crib knowing how to sharpen a knife. You have to learn this stuff. Once you learn it, though, it's not that difficult, and it will come in very handy. You will no longer be a slave to your steel, You will no longer have to buy the super hardest steel that will cut through 9,000 feet of rope without dulling. Yeah, good luck on sharpening that thing when it does get dull. But anyway, there you go. It's a little quickie on pocket sharpeners, basically. Not necessarily field. It could be the office also. You're cutting a lot of paper, and the paper's trying to cut you. Anyways, thank you for watching. Peppy is very helpful whenever I'm doing stuff. It looks like somebody's sitting there interested in what I'm doing. He's looking at it like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? But he doesn't ask me, what are you doing? So anyway, there you go. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.